I really researched, probably completed YouTube when it comes to E-2 videos. Is it easy? No. Is it stressful? Yes. But it's 100% doable. It's a real hub of basically just opportunity. It really, really is. So you might look a certain way, but if all you're thinking about is can you eat the pizza or not all day, then that's not. But that's not good quality of life. So actually, I think the most secure job that you can ever do is building one of your own.
Patrick Founder here, founding partner at Visa Franchise. Today we have a special guest, James Hesling, who's the CEO, founder at FGC Performance. James, thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me, Patrick. Good to chat.
So I'm glad we were part of the start of your American dream. And as probably our audience will pick up, if they haven't already picked up, James is from England. He's decided to make Las Vegas home. But James, before I talk about FGC Performance, or rather, it's better to hear it from you. If you could tell a little bit about your background and why you and your wife decided to make this leap to the US.
Yeah, so my background is very much based in health and well-being. So I started personal training when I was 17. So I'm 36 now, but I've pretty much mostly been in the industry, whether it's through coaching, through personal training, or I'm also a nutritionist. And then that's kind of transcended into a little bit of corporate well-being, and then kind of like executive coaching. And then here in the UK, I have a facility here where we kind of encompass, nutrition, exercise, and behavior change. And we decided that we wanted more for our future. And we were kind of looking at how, if and when it would be possible to go to the States, because we got married in America, my wife and I.
Where did you guys get married?
We got married in Vegas.
Classic.
And we were literally getting married. And I just said to Pippa, my wife, I said, could you live here? And the first day she was like, no, I don't think so. And then the day after she was like, actually, yeah, I think I could. And we kind of just started exploring how it's possible, because we just assumed that, well, there must be a way to move to America. So that's when we started uncovering the E-2 visa, really.
And do you have friends and family already booking, dates to visit you guys in Vegas?
Yeah. So we officially move next month, but our mums are coming out with us. We've got a couple of people already looking at accommodation flights, let's say, for next year. So it's going to be good. It's going to be busy.
And then what will you do with your operations in the UK? Do you have a key manager, like a general manager, or how will you manage that?
So I've just sold the business in the UK.
That's
so literally just sold it. So the reason why we're moving at the end of November is because at the moment there's a handover period. So literally the new owners get the keys on the 1st of November. So this month, we're in the beginning of October right now, there's a month kind of handover process. So the business will actually be closing here from my perspective. So that gives me full focus moving forward in the US market. Yeah.
So clean slate. And what type of work do you think your wife will do? Or will she work together with you?
So she won't be working with myself. So my wife's an actress, very much kind of like a theatre background. So theatre, and also she's looking to do more in TV and film. And Las Vegas is, neighboring LA, so it's perfect location for what we both want to do.
And we talked about that. Easy flight. You'll have the train. So a lot of opportunities in LA, and then Vegas in itself.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know you looked you watched, many videos. Did you say 100 different, videos related to the E-2 and general moving to the US?
Probably more. If you're going to do a job, you do it right. And I really researched for about 9 months, I think, looking, and I spoke to a couple of different law firms about the E-2, probably completed YouTube when it comes to E-2 videos. From lots of different, again, law firms and such as yourself, and just kind of got a bit of a lay of the land, and then decided, right, I think we should try and go for that.
Hey, you want to come to the US, get the E-2 visa, L1, or straight out a green card? We've been doing this for the past 10 years, and we wrote a book. It's called Own Your American Dream. What is special about this book is that we went back and have spoken to 21 successful applicants who opened up their businesses here and who are continuing to live the American dream. Hear it from them, because they talk about their fears, their mental state, what went wrong, what went right. The entire blueprint is there. You could just buy the book right here. You can just read it and make up your mind. Continue your video.
And what gave you the confidence, to work with Aladdin and my colleague Laura throughout this journey?
I think to begin with, it was like, do I have the confidence that I could do it, I guess? Because I think there's almost like initially a bit of a mindset of like, well, this doesn't happen for people like me who, coach people and train people. This happens for people who have got like, incredible, degrees at like, for tech or whatever it might be, let's say, and, vault full of cash, let's say. But, once I started looking at actually there's varying degrees of the type of person that gets this visa. So it kind of like ticked the box that one, oh, well, it's possible for me then. And then it was just kind of doing the research around who I think is most capable to get me over the line. And that was you guys.
And I was taking a look at the notes. It looked like we started working at the end of March 2025, and you had your visa approved earlier this month, now we're in October, September 2025?
Yeah, September 11th.
Tell me a little bit about the process. And we also did a little bit of a pivot where you went with the E-2 essential employee, but could you walk me through the process for our audience?
Yeah, sure. So obviously I had an exploration call with Aladdin, went really well. And the biggest deciding factor actually for what made me go ahead with it was with yourselves was one, your success rate, and also that it was all-in-one approach. So you, Visa Franchise helped me incorporating the company, my EIN, helping me, in terms of like which business bank account I should have. Also enabling me to kind of like look at different, obviously went with the lawyer, Fadi, who was fantastic. And just like your response time, I'm someone who is very much kind of like, I'm a speed of implementation kind of guy.
Yes. I heard that from our colleagues. We like that.
Yeah. Being able to get a response that day when you hear like in Facebook groups that, oh, my lawyer gets back to me after like a week, like that just didn't cut it for me. So that was a big factor as well. Because if that was the case, like I know a lot of other people do, I'd have maybe just submitted today rather than actually have now booked flights. And for me, that time is the biggest difference.
So you had the confidence that we were going to get this done fast and you'd be on your way in the US.
Yeah.
Could you tell me, if you don't mind opening up, how much capital did you invest in the business, including working capital?
Yeah. So at the time of submission, which is actually going back to your question, sorry, about an essential employee, I invested $52,000 US dollars at the time of application submission, and at the time of the interview, I put in a further $20,000, so it was $72,000. By the time of submission, it was 52. And because I also have two investors as well with me, it was a late change just before the submission where Fadi, the lawyer, said, I think it would increase your chances of success by changing it to an essential employee, simply because the amount that I invested was basically on par with how much the investors had invested too.
So James, who are these investors? Are they from the UK, or how'd you meet them?
Yeah, so both of the investors are married couples who I coach here in England. So as you build relationships, as you work with people, and they were kind of like asking what my future goals were, because one of them actually said, I'd like to invest in what you're doing here in England. And I was like, well, funny you should say that, because we're going to be doing even more in America. So why don't you look at that opportunity? And it kind of became like a copy and paste, and it basically happened again. So it's actually two married couples who are my clients, and they just wanted in.
They wanted to be part of the experience. Yeah. And you're relatively young, 36. You have another, 20, 30, 40 year career ahead of you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, obviously they've experienced the coaching and can see firsthand, but I think they know where I also want to take the business to. So it became very appealing.
And do you see the opportunity is that much bigger, for the services that you're providing with FGC Performance in Vegas?
Yeah, 100%. Like the term is like 10x is like thrown around a lot, but I imagine it's probably going to be about 1,000,000x, genuinely. And I think one, naturally because of the just sheer size of the market in the US in comparison, because it's going to be executive coaching, but also workplace well-being as well, from an evidence-based standpoint, let's say. So it's not just let's say fruit bowls and yoga mats. It's like real kind of in-depth coaching around behavior change, emotional resilience, and also like just increasing someone's quality of life through just, better nutrition, better exercise. Like it's a real complete package. So the size of the market in the US alone is so much bigger, but also as well, from my experience, people generally speaking, especially in Las Vegas, just have a real greater sense of value when one comes to coaching and also when it comes to their own health and well-being as well than the UK.
Yeah, I mean, membership groups, I was part of an entrepreneur organization. It's very common to spend 5-10K a year on, executive business groups. Some masterminds are 30K plus, and it's not something that, people bat their eye at. It's something, okay, that makes sense. Because of the values there, Americans don't care about how much they spend. If they're getting, 2x, 3x, 5x the value, they don't care about the price.
Yeah. Well, I actually, come to think of it, I had a business coach who was based in the US, and I was one of his UK clients, and that was just over $1,000 a month. And I did that for 2 years, whereas if I was to say that to someone here in the UK, oh, I have a coach, I pay just over $1,000 a month, they'd think I was crazy.
Man, yeah, it's a different, and I think part of the mentality in the US is just the future is better than the past. Whether it's 100%. For you or the next generation, like it's going to be better. So invest in yourself now because it will pay dividends in the future. But I don't know if you think UK is like this, but I think France, Germany, where the past was better. So it's a very different mindset to be doing that type of self-improvement investments.
100%. I think a bit of a culture here in the UK, certainly at the moment, where quality of life has just been created for them rather than this is something I can take control of and change it for myself. And, my wife and I, we're very much in the side of, well, you're always in control, so do something about it. And, from the idea of when we said, yeah, let's move to America, like, how do we do this? Totally clueless. So now actually we move next month. It's probably been, I don't know, then I guess just over a year in reality.
Yeah. When did you two get married?
Well, we actually got married 2 years ago. But I think actually putting like some meat on the bone, some like real kind of like, research into it, I'd probably say it's been about 18 months-ish, I'd say, give or take.
And yeah, we were talking, before recording, a lot of people from England, the UK, they feel it's kind of daunting. But my experience is we have a lot of successful English clients, and in Miami Beach, a lot of really successful people, especially client service roles, sales roles. Americans love that British accent. So you guys can play to your strengths. But did you feel like it was that? I know you're just starting, but did you feel like it was that big of a change and grave, or what would be your advice to someone sitting watching this YouTube video, whether it's in Birmingham, Leeds, outside London?
I would just say do what's required. Like if you want it, if you have the will, then you'll just find the resources for how to do it, whether that's like, finances, whether that's like, you have to, save however much it is, or it's just kind of like finding the right business for you. Like the doors will open if you have a big enough why, and just persevere with it. I mean, let's say, paperwork isn't one of my strengths, And when you submit the visa and everything, obviously you've naturally got to go through a lot of paperwork and you've got to click certain buttons. And the paranoia is, well, if I click the wrong button, would that just then say denied because I missed this box or didn't click it? These are all the thoughts that go around, like, well, certainly did in my head. And, you know, for example, just like messaging like Laura, let's say, who was part of the team, and like Tiago, like I would ask them a question in the morning and I would be in a call with Tiago in the evening, like actually filling in the form together. And like that for me that's what I want. Like I want the clarity of someone who's a specialist in that particular form or that conversation, whatever it is, because then that gives me confidence in like, okay, cool. What's the next step? The next step, the next step. So I think if you break it down into like what's next to do, time goes really fast actually.
And yeah, for those that haven't seen it on our website, Tiago used to work at the U.S. consulate for 12 years. So he's personally worked on 350 E-2 visa applications, and he always does, you know, interview prep ahead of the interview with our clients. So I'm glad you were able to work with Tiago and that everything went well in terms of getting the visa. You know, whether it's the investor visa or the essential employee, it's still 5 years for you, and your wife gets work authorization where, you know, it's like she's an American in terms of acting gigs, that she doesn't have to have a visa tied to anything.
Yeah, and that didn't change anything in terms of like the process for me. It was literally just, you know, when everything was submitted. So Fadi, the lawyer, just basically just the submission document that he attaches at the front of the application. It was him that structured it. I didn't actually do anything around that. If I'm totally honest, it wasn't anything that I needed to do. It was all done for me.
We talked a little bit now and then offline on your go to market, but I thought it's, you know, great where I've seen people do bottom up or top down. And it seems like you have a top down where you start coaching a high level executive, and then from there you kind of expand and show value. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So if we think about just a general market, and especially like when it comes to like the fitness industry, you could say, oh, the fitness industry is incredibly saturated. There's so many people doing it. Well, it is kind of down here. Whereas actually, you know, I've got a lot of experience. I've got a lot of success in the industry, which is fantastic. So it enables me to be able to actually aim for like executive CEOs from a one-to-one coaching perspective. And then from there, also what I'll be able to do is then work with the teams of those organizations, you know, to reduce employee burnout, to increase focus, to align not just like the business KPIs, but then also like kind of like the employees, like, you know, mindset toward achieving those. So it kind of then like works together. And then in the future, so like year 2, what I've got here in the UK, I'm going to be opening up, my first initial site in Las Vegas, just on a bigger scale. And then that naturally then transitions down, as opposed to working with people who pay less for your service and fundamentally don't value what you actually do for them.
And, you know, I had a personal trainer. I played lacrosse in college, and, you know, my brothers too, we all played lacrosse, and our dad hired a personal trainer, but it was really just physical. But, you know, and we just viewed him as, you put him in that corner. But for what you do, and, you know, whether it's for a 15-year-old boy or, you know, more executives that you're focused on, it's really the whole picture. Where yes, fitness is important, but you know, and when we talked, you know, what are your goals? And from what I see, and, you know, much more than me in this domain, but fitness is one part, but there's a lot of other components that you're also supporting these clients with.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if we think about health, it's multifaceted. So it's not just like physically how much you weigh or physically how, you know, you look aesthetically. It's like your emotional health. So you might look a certain way, but if all you're thinking about is can you eat the pizza or not all day, then that's not. But that's not good quality of life.
Definitely, I agree.
Because all that attention that you're just obsessing over whether you can have a pizza or not could be spent on work, could be spent on with your family, could be spent on anything else. So it's about actually aligning all the different facets of health for you to be more of an optimal, you know, human being, I guess, really.
How are you going to acquire these clients? Is it through, referrals, social media, marketing, like paid advertisement? How will you go about, really launching this and scaling up in Vegas?
Fundamentally, all what you've just said, actually. But I also have an employee starting in just under 3 weeks, full time in Nevada as well, Las Vegas. So I've already got an office there. I've got a car over there. So Enrique is going to be starting on the 21st of October. So I'm going to be flying out for 4 days initially to do my first 4 days with him. So his role is a sales executive. So he's going to be reaching out to businesses, organizations, and starting to kind of like build our pipeline to grow just before I move there. And then we'll be spearheading that together. We'll be doing, kind of like get together events and like live coaching seminars so people can actually have tasters of it. And then typically speaking, the results will, touch wood, speak for themselves, and then word spreads.
And then you'll have a nice wave because there's so many companies that have moved to Vegas, and it's just going to continue happening where a lot of people are leaving California. Probably the executives you'll be working with, it's not uncommon for them to spend, 7 months Nevada, 5 months California, and kind of go back and forth. There's a lot of wealth and job creation happening in the greater Las Vegas area.
Yeah, 100%. And even just like the conferences, there are, thousands of conferences in Las Vegas, like every single year. So it's a real hub of basically just opportunity. It really, really is. Which again is kind of like one of the biggest reasons why we also chose Las Vegas for this as well.
Well, James, I've learned a lot, actionable steps online and then offline that I'm going to take, and I believe our audience too. But is there any pending items for professionals, entrepreneurs considering the E-2 visa route that they should think about, or you might have wished you knew ahead of time?
I don't think I'd have wanted to know anything ahead of time because I feel like I had the support network around me at the right time. But honestly, it's possible. Like it 100% is possible. Is it easy? No. Is it stressful? Yes. But it's 100% doable. And the thing that I really like about what it's done for me, besides obviously getting the visas, which are fantastic, and we can't wait to move, but it's also kind of like reinforced like in myself that the courage to do it, to go through it. Like, it's like, cool, what else can I do now? And like, then that's a stepping stone for then like the future in America as well. So I think it's a good learning development for anybody doing it as well. And if all else fails, well, you've got a really good story.
Some great years in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. But it won't fail anyway. But yeah, it's
you pivot, as I'm sure you did in your business in the UK. Something doesn't work, and then you change the service and pivot.
100%, yeah.
So and you can pivot fast in the US. As you know, it's very loose in terms of employment. I was shocked when I went on a trip to London 2016, and I met a guy that was leaving a company, and he said he had to stay on for 3 months. I was like, what do you mean 3 months? In the US, you give 2 weeks notice, but a lot of times you're out the same day or the next week because the corporate culture and vibe, you don't want to have someone kind of hanging around for a bunch of time that doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. Is like 3 months as a notice period. Like it can even be like 6 months, depending on the role and the company. Yeah, but
so as an entrepreneur, you'll see, and especially in the health and wellness space, a lot of independent contractors. You can have employees, but everyone's at will, and I think it's good for everyone because if the employees can find work faster, they're unemployed for less time, lower unemployment. But that's a continued item that we hear, just the ease of doing business, once you get rolling and you can really take risk and pivot as needed. Where in the UK and like Canada, some of these other markets, it's tough.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think as well, like one thing that really appealed to us about like the US and like doing your own business is, especially in the UK, there's a lot of talk about like job security at the moment and how uncertain like the job industry is. And I think in any business, like you don't have job security regardless of who it is, because you see these huge businesses, going into administration or whatever it might be. So actually, I think the most secure job that you can ever do is building one of your own, because then at least things in your control, whether you flourish and you thrive, or whether you chill out on the sofa watching Netflix Monday to Friday, then at least you get to say, but that's the choices I made. So
yeah, you own it, and you can scale up, you can scale down, you have the flexibility, and then you build the brand, and there's huge brand equity that can be attributed, and going now through one sales process, but there's serious value that if you do something for 5, 10, 15 years, that can create a lot of value for you and your family.
Yeah. One thing actually I think is really helpful, which blows my mind actually. So obviously there needs to be a substantial investment for the E-2 visa, in relation to the business that you are, launching, whatever that might be. The amount of people that I've seen in like various like Facebook groups and things like that, like saying that I'm doing this by myself, and then they're asking random people like what they should do for this and this, blows my mind. Blows my mind. Like, you are investing all of this money, you are putting everything, your hopes, dreams, your future into this submission and then this interview, and you don't think the first thing I need to do is go, right, who's the best person that crosses all the T's, dots all the I's, and files it? That blows my mind.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I have heard that, and I've seen it. Obviously, all our clients, the attorney files, and we have an arsenal approach where different people serve roles. But I could see it if you're like 19 or 21 and you're applying for like you don't have the money, and it's like it's your only option. But if you have the resources, and especially if you're married, and even more if you have kids, like you want to get it right the first time to have everything set up. But yeah, that's a good point.
The investment, my costs with Visa franchise,
it's part of the investment. It counts.
That's exactly that argument in terms of like whether you can or not, because it's part of it.
Yeah, no, we've had some people that try to do it the first time themselves, or with someone that doesn't have much experience, and maybe they do like 2 E-2 visas a year. And it's just, we've heard, we've seen firsthand, I should say, like, some bad press stories, and then we have to come in. But it's always easier, working with people like you, James, where it's kind of a clean slate, and it's like, all right, let's do this right. Let's set up the business. Let's go down and just get everything set up so you can get the visa and focus on, executing, hiring, and scaling the operations.
And in the end, my interview lasted about 8-9 minutes. That was all it was. And I put it down to, obviously, because I got asked like 7 questions, half a dozen questions, but was down to like the file submission.
The business plan was tight. Everything was just coherent.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because at least I'm fundamentally a at-risk investment, or high-risk investment, should I say? So yeah, that must have attributed so much towards the it was a simple interview, really, if I'm honest.
Well, James, I really appreciate you sharing your time with our audience. I wish you the best of luck to you and your wife as you make the move next month, and we'll be accompanying you, and look forward to seeing you two thrive in Vegas and throughout the U.S. Don't limit it just to Vegas. You'll see.
100%, you'll see it now, and thank you for for yourself and for Visa franchise. You were super.
Appreciate it, James. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.